So let's come back in and explode this again. We're gonna, remember, come back up to our configuration manager, and we're just gonna make sure we double click on this again, get our exploded view. So when we've created drawings from other parts, we create the drawing template, and then we come over here to our view palette, and it gives us the views, and then we drag those views onto the drawing. The only way we can drag an exploded view onto the drawing is we have to have an active configuration, and so we do. And so, like we've done before, we're going to go up here to File. We're going to say Make Drawing from Assembly, and we want an A-size drawing landscape. And here is our blank drawing template. Okay, so we can see over here that we have an isometric exploded view. And I'm going to just resize this. And now I can drag this view onto the drawing. And it's a little bit small, so let's come down here, and we're going to use a custom scale, and let's do let me just drag this out a little bit. So we can kind of see what's going on. Now we have a drop down there. Let's do a 1:2. And so that makes this a little bit bigger. And we're going to take this, we're going to drag this down here just a little bit so we can make room for our bill of materials. We want to make sure here that we have our hidden lines removed. And sometimes when you drag an exploded view in, it will come in with the origins attached to each piece of the assembly, meaning those are kind of like the arrows that we use to drag into place. If yours has that, you can come up here and come up to View, Hide Show, and then under Origins, and I'm going to turn mine on. And so if your drawing looks like this, you can get rid of it by just clicking on the origins, and they'll disappear. And we can hit OK. All right, let's enter our bill of materials. So we're going to come up here to Annotation, and over here on Tables, I've got a bill of materials, so I'm going to click that. And over here, we want to copy an existing table, bill of materials 1, linked. We're going to say OK. And there is our bill of materials, a little big, but we're just going to link, we're going to kind of click up to this corner, and now it's attached in there. And so the first thing I want to do is, I'm going to just resize this a little bit first. And then if I click up here, in this little gray box, I can resize the font, and I'm going to go to an 8 font. And then if I click on one of these lines, it should, or I'm sorry, double click, it's going to resize. It should have resized everything. Let's see. So it should resize the whole table, but we might have to click on each line, double click. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to pause the video while I do this. All right, so I double clicked on each line. I shortened the table up, and we can bring these in a little bit more. We don't need these columns to maybe be quite so wide. And so there we have our bill of materials now, along with our exploded view. So sometimes it is a bit of a dancing act of, kind of getting this situated around where you want your bill of materials. And so now we're just going to put balloons on these parts so that we timed the bill of materials. We can put them on manually, or I can come up here and I can select auto balloon, and it's going to start to label what these parts are. And so if we want, we have a pattern type, and right now they're laid out what it's calling a square, but I can put them all on the right side. I can put them all on the bottom, put them all on the left side. We're gonna leave them all on the right side for right now. We're gonna come back to this. So go ahead and hit your green check mark, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna come back to this in a minute. So we can edit, we can reorder at any time we want. And this doesn't look how I want it to look like, but let's leave this for a minute. If you come back down here and hover, let's go back to the assembly. And if we come into, if you're not there already, we're going to come back to the configuration manager. So if I come over here and I click on Exploded View 1, I right click, I'm able to edit this feature, and it's going to bring us back into our steps that we use for exploding the part, the assembly, and it gives us access to the rollback bar as well. So let's take this rollback bar, and I want to roll this back to just after step 5. And if I click on this battery cover, sorry, I misspoke. So come back down here and delete this base 1 out of here if you clicked on it. And I want to click on step 5, not the actual base. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to change our vector on this cap. So if I come down here, and this is our vector field, and I right click in this box here, select it, and then click over here, and I can clear selection. And then if I zoom in on this, I want to select this edge. And we're going to set this at 55 millimeters, or 50 millimeters, I'm sorry. If I wanted to, I could reverse this direction and put it on that side of the base, but we want it on this side. And so basically what this does is it tightens up my exploded view a little bit. And now if I click OK, and then I take the rollback bar and roll it back to the end, we can see now this cover is moving off to the side and the batteries are sliding out. And so everything is tightened up. And now if we take this and we rebuild it, and if I come down to here and come back to my assembly, it's going to rebuild. And now you can see that it moved the cover off to the side. And if we take this and we can move this down a little bit, and I can also move these balloons. I don't have to, even though we put them off to one side, we can still move them and clean this drawing up a little bit. Okay, so I moved these. There's no lines crossing. The other thing we can do is if we look at number 1 here, and number 1 is this subassembly. So it's taking all these parts in that subassembly we created and calling it number 1. I don't like how it's pointing to that pin. And so we can also take this little square at the end of the arrowhead, and I should be able to click on that, and I should be able to detach that. And it's not perfect, but I can put it on like the base holder of that, and maybe it's a little more accurate. And we'll say okay. All right, that's a wrap on this one. So hopefully you've been keeping up with this series of videos on the exploded view. and using the and how we're using the assemblies and everything. So go ahead and save this, hand this in. Now just so you know, this assignment is going to be worth a little bit more than the typical class follow alongs, because there is no additional homework assignments for this chapter. So um, so this part will be worth more points than normal.